Imagine a world where the click of a lighter never existed, where the only way to summon fire was the rhythm of your own hands and the whisper of a wooden spindle against a board. In the next few minutes, we will travel back 10,000 years and light a flame the way our ancestors did, using nothing but dry wood, a simple bow, and pure friction. Feel that anticipation? It's the same spark that kept early humans warm, fed, and safe from the night's predators. Welcome to Untamed Heritage. Today we're unlocking the lost art of fire by friction, a skill that once defined survival and community. By the end of this journey, you will know which woods are best, how to shape a spindle, how to craft a bow, and how to coax that first ember to life, just as the first humans did around ancient hearths. Fire was more than a tool, and it was the backbone of survival. A steady flame provided warmth in freezing valleys, cooked food that released vital nutrients, and kept wolves and bears at bay. Imagine huddling around a flickering glow, the heat seeping into bone and spirit, turning raw meat into nourishment, turning fear into confidence. That heat also extended daylight, allowing stories to be told and songs to be sung long after the sun set. In many cultures, fire became sacred, a symbol of life itself. Ceremonial fires marked rites of passage, celebrated harvests, and honored ancestors. The act of creating fire was often a communal lesson, a rite passed from elder to child, binding families and tribes together through shared knowledge. Now let's talk about the materials that make this magic possible. The first decision is wood. You want a dry hardwood. Think willow, cedar, or cottonwood. These species produce the right amount of friction without splintering. A quick test is to rub two small sticks together. If gentle smoke rises, you have the right match. The spindle, the thin rod you spin, should be about half an inch in diameter and 12 inches long, smooth and straight. Carve it with a knife until it feels like polished river stone. The fireboard, a flat piece of the same wood, needs a shallow V-shaped notch cut near its edge and a small depression at the base of that notch to seat the spindle tip. This notch guides the hot dust into an ember. The bow is the engine that drives the spindle's rapid rotation. Find a flexible branch about 20 inches long and a sturdy string. Paracord works well, but raw plant fibers add authenticity. You tie the string tightly to each end of the branch, leaving a gap in the middle where the spindle will sit. A small socket, a piece of wood or a bone wedge, is placed on the string to keep the spindle in place while you pull the bow back and forth. The motion should be steady, not frantic. Rhythm is the secret. With these tools ready, the real work begins. Place the spindle into the fireboard's depression, fit the socket onto the bowstring, and begin drawing the bow with a smooth, even motion. As the spindle spins, friction creates fine orange dust that gathers at the notch. Keep the pressure steady. Press down just enough to keep contact, but not so hard that the spindle stalls. After a minute or two of consistent motion, you'll see the dust darken and a small ember form. Carefully tap the ember onto a tinder bundle, dry grass, bark fibers, or a prepared moss nest, and blow gently. The ember will flare into a living flame. Think about that moment when the ember catches, the sudden burst of light and heat after minutes of patient work. It's a feeling of triumph that resonates through time, connecting you to every human who ever stood on a cold night and coaxed fire from wood. What does that spark mean to you? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. If this glimpse into the ancient flame is blowing your mind, consider hitting that subscribe button so we can keep exploring the forgotten skills that shaped humanity together. With the ember perched in your tinder bundle, the next step is as delicate as it is decisive. Cradle the bundle in the cupped palm of your hand, shielding it from gusts while you whisper a steady breath across the glowing coal. The ember will blossom, first into a timid glow, then into a lively flame that licks the surrounding fibers. As the fire catches, notice how the crackling sound shifts from a soft hiss to a rhythmic pop, each snap echoing the ancient heartbeat of hearths that have warmed generations. Now that the fire is alive, tend it with reverence. Feed it small, dry kindling, thin twigs, shredded bark, or even the inner husks of grass to coax the flames upward. Watch how the heat draws the moisture from the wood, turning damp sticks into dry, crackling fuel. This gradual build respects the principle that fire is a living partner, not a force to be forced. If you rush the process, the flames will sputter and die, a reminder that patience is the true master of fire. But troubleshooting is where the true learning deepens. If the dust never darkens, examine the wood selection. Some hardwoods, like oak, are too dense for friction methods, while overly oily woods can smother the ember. A quick test before you begin: rub two pieces together. If they produce a fine, smoky powder, you have the right combination. If the spindle wobbles in the board, shave the shaft a hair thinner until it spins true. Too much pressure can grind the spindle to a halt. Too little pressure will cause it to slip, scattering dust without heat. The rhythm of the bowstroke matters as much as the force. A smooth, continuous motion builds consistent friction, while jerky pulls introduce pauses that let heat escape. When the bow drill proves stubborn, the hand drill offers a simpler, albeit more physically demanding, alternative. Here, the only tools are the spindle and a fireboard. Place the spindle tip in the depression, grip the top with one hand, and roll the wood between your palms with the other. The motion resembles a fast, rotating prayer, and the same principles of pressure and speed apply. The hand drill teaches you to feel the heat building in the wood, a tactile meditation that connects mind, body, and element. For those seeking a method that works with even fewer materials, the fire plow is a technique that relies on a single piece of wood dragged back and forth across a softer board, creating a thin ribbon of heat. The plow's edge must be sharpened to a fine knife-like edge, and the board must be soft enough to yield dust without breaking. Though slower, the fire plow teaches the virtue of persistence. Each stroke adds a whisper of heat until the ember ignites. Beyond the mechanics, consider the cultural narratives that have risen from these sparks. In many indigenous traditions, the first fire is a gift from a spirit or a deity, a symbol of knowledge and communal unity. Stories recount how the firemaker is honored with songs and dances, their skill woven into the tribe's identity. In ancient cave paintings, depictions of hands shaping tools and gathering fire hint at a reverence that transcended mere survival. By mastering these techniques, you join a lineage of storytellers who have carried the flame of curiosity through the ages. Reflect for a moment on the symbolism of fire in our modern lives. It represents innovation, the spark of an idea, the warmth of community, and the power to transform raw material into nourishment. Each time you strike a match or flick a lighter, you bypass centuries of hands-on learning. Yet, when you pause to coax a flame from wood, you reclaim a piece of that ancestral ingenuity, grounding yourself in a rhythm that predates electricity. So, what does this ancient practice mean to you? Does the act of shaping fire feel like a meditation, a workout, or perhaps a bridge to the past? I'm curious to hear the images that surface when you picture yourself sitting beside a flickering ember under a night sky. Share those thoughts below. Your perspectives add new threads to this tapestry of human experience. If you've found value in watching the ember grow from dust to flame, consider giving this video a thumbs up. Your feedback fuels the channel, just as the fire fuels our stories. And if you're eager to explore more forgotten crafts, whether it's building shelter from natural materials, crafting stone tools, or learning ancient navigation, stay subscribed. Together, we'll continue to uncover the skills that shaped our species and keep those ancient sparks alive in the modern world. As the fire steadies, take a moment to appreciate the glow on your face, the warmth on your hands, and the echo of countless ancestors who once stood where you stand now. Let that feeling linger as you move forward, carrying the knowledge that with patience, rhythm, and respect, you can summon fire from the very heart of the earth. The journey doesn't end here. Every ember you kindle is an invitation to explore the next hidden art